There was a twist on Emmerdale tonight, with the apparent truce between Kim Tate and Chas Dingle not being quite what it seems. As the local farm enters a new era, maybe the pleasantries were indeed too good to be true. Earlier this month, Kim, with the help of Joe, secured the future of Butler's farm by organising a deal with the incarcerated Moira. They subsequently handed the reins over to Robert Sugden and Aaron, but the storyline hasn't finished there. With Kane and the fellow Dingles not being best pleased by Robert and Aaron's business with Tate's, Chas was one of the most outspoken critics, as she reserved some particularly harsh words for Kim. Despite that, an advanced spoiler teased that the pair could put their quarrels aside and reach some common ground. And tonight's episode of the ITV soap began with the pair trading barbs outside the pub before it opened. They headed into the Woolpack for a quiet drink, though Chas offered to call a truce as she was tired at the misfortune that had fallen upon their family. Despite Kim displaying her trademark wit at the family's expense, there seemed to be a mutual respect. They headed to the back room, where they shared a glass of wine, with Kim soon getting a call from Graham Foster. Chas asked if she was at his beck and call, a charge that Kim denied, so much so that she ignored the call. While their frosty relationship seemed to be thawing, the family feud was still raging elsewhere in the village, with Belle spearheading a grand Dingle heist as they nabbed the cows from the farm. The Dingles threw up several obstacles to delay Joe as he searched for the cattle, with Charity pretending she was in labour. The plan worked, with the group wasting enough time that Belle could secure the deal. It turned out that Chas was also a key player in the heist, with her suggestion of a truce merely being played to distract Kim. After Chas gloated in her bit of play acting, Kim ominously remarked that her guard would now be up. Emmerdale airs on weeknights at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and streams on. The village of Emmerdale had always been a place where secrets lingered behind every door, and tonight was no exception. Underneath the gentle rolling hills and the sleepy exterior of the village, tensions were simmering, and old rivalries refused to stay buried. For Kim Tate, the formidable matriarch whose cunning and charm had shaped the landscape of the valley for decades, tonight was a delicate dance. And at the centre of it all was Chas Dingle, a woman whose loyalty to her family was as fierce as it was unpredictable. Chapter 1. A truce in the making, or so it seemed. The morning had begun like any other, yet in the village square, the air was thick with anticipation. Kim Tate, impeccably dressed, arrived at the Woolpack to find Chas Dingle already leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, a scowl plastered across her face. "Morning, Kim," Chas said, her tone polite but edged with suspicion. Kim raised an eyebrow, her lips curling into a sly smile. "Chas, to what do I owe the pleasure?" The two women exchanged measured words, barbs hidden beneath layers of civility. The apparent truce hinted at in previous spoilers seemed to hang in the air, fragile and tentative. They headed inside the pub together, the clinking of glasses masking the tension that buzzed between them. Chas, weary from the recent misfortune that had befallen her family, suggested a truce. "Maybe it's time to put our quarrels aside. For now." Kim, ever the master of wit, smirked. "For now," she echoed, raising her glass in mock solemnity. But behind her eyes, a calculating gleam betrayed her. Chapter 2. The Wine and the Whispered Calls. They moved to the back room, a quieter space away from the prying eyes of the villagers. A bottle of wine sat between them, and Kim poured herself a generous glass. The atmosphere was almost civil. Chas even allowed a small smile as they shared a tentative toast. But the moment was interrupted by a buzzing phone. Kim glanced at the screen, Graham Foster. Chas arched an eyebrow. "Always at his beck and call, are we?" Kim waved her off, ignoring the call. "I don't take orders from anyone," she said sharply. Her tone was more playful than harsh, but Chas couldn't be certain. For a fleeting moment, it seemed the two women might genuinely find common ground. But in Emmerdale, appearances were never as they seemed. Chapter 3. The Dingle Heist begins. Outside, the village continued its daily rhythm, but behind the scenes, the Dingle family was mobilizing. Belle Dingle had orchestrated a daring plan, a heist that would secure the family's dominance and, perhaps, exact revenge on the Tates. The target, the prized cows of Butler's farm, a symbol of the Tate legacy. As Joe Tate scoured the fields for the missing livestock, obstacles arose almost immediately. Charity, ever the dramatic trickster, pretended to be in labour, drawing attention away from Belle's scheme. Time became a weapon. Every delay, every misdirection, allowed the Dingles to execute their plan with precision. Chapter 4. Chas' calculated move. Back at the Woolpack, Kim thought the truce was genuine. She had underestimated Chaz. The moment she least expected, Chaz revealed her hand. The truce had been a ruse, a clever distraction. As Kim sipped her wine, Chaz gloated, her voice low and triumphant. "You really thought I came here for peace?" Kim's eyes narrowed. She had always been a step ahead of most, but tonight, the Dingles had managed to play her. "My guard's up now," she said, ominously, her calm veneer cracking just enough to hint at the storm brewing beneath. Chapter 5. The Village Watcher's Intention. Outside the pub, the villagers were oblivious to the layered schemes unfolding. Yet the tension was palpable. Robert Sugden and Erin were aware of the subtle threats to their new management of Butler's farm, while Kane Dingle and other family members grumbled about the Tate involvement in the village's economy. Every glance, every whispered conversation, hinted that the fragile peace was temporary. In Emmerdale, history had taught them all that no truce lasted long when family pride and cunning were at stake. Chapter 6. Obstacles and Strategy. As Belle executed the heist, the obstacles mounted. Joe, unaware of Chaz's duplicity, ran from one end of the farm to the other, trying to locate the missing cattle. Charity's labor ruse worked perfectly, drawing Joe's attention and giving Belle the opportunity to complete the mission. Each member of the Dingle clan played a role, showing the synergy and cunning of a family united by loyalty and mischief. Meanwhile, Kim, confident that the truce would hold, remained unaware of the depth of the betrayal happening under her nose. Chapter 7. The fallout begins. When the heist was revealed, the village erupted in chaos. Joe's frustration boiled over, and Kim's calculated composure finally cracked. Chaz, savoring the moment, revealed just enough to make Kim realize the truce had been nothing more than a distraction. Kim's mind raced, already plotting her next move. "You've made your point," Kim said, her voice calm but cold. "But this isn't over." Chaz smiled, triumphant but cautious. "Wouldn't dream of it, Kim." Chapter 8. The Ripple Effect. The fallout of the Dingle heist rippled throughout the village. Robert and Erin's management of Butler's farm was immediately questioned. Tensions rose among the Dingles, and the Tates were forced to reconsider their influence. Kim, ever resilient, began laying the groundwork for a counter-strategy. In Emmerdale, nothing was static, and every action demanded a reaction. Meanwhile, Chaz and Belle shared a private smile. They had succeeded for now. But they both knew the Tates would strike back, and that the village would be plunged into further drama before the dust settled. Chapter 9. The True Nature of Truces. The episode highlighted one of the enduring truths of Emmerdale. Truce does not equal trust. Even as Kim and Chaz shared a glass of wine, each aware of the other's capabilities, the viewer knew that in this village, every gesture of peace could mask a strategic ploy. The interplay between appearances and intentions created suspense, keeping viewers on edge with every word spoken and every glance exchanged. Chapter 10. Lessons in Power and Deception. The evening's events were a masterclass in manipulation and strategy. Kim Tate demonstrated her trademark cunning, but even she had been caught off guard. Chaz Dingle revealed the sharp edge of her wit and the lengths she would go to protect her family's interests. Belle's heist was a reminder that unity and planning could overcome even the most formidable opponents, if executed with precision. The village, a seemingly peaceful rural backdrop, became a chessboard where every resident was a player, and every move could shift the balance of power. Chapter 11. Looking ahead. As the night ended, viewers were left with lingering questions. Would Kim retaliate against Chaz and the Dingles? Could the truce ever hold, or was it doomed from the start? How would Robert and Erin maintain control of Butler's farm amid growing opposition? And what other surprises would ripple through the village in the coming days? Emmerdale, with its rich history of drama, deception, and family feuds, reminded viewers that in this village, nothing is ever straightforward, and every moment could ignite a new conflict. Chapter 12. Final Thoughts. Tonight's episode was a perfect example of why Emmerdale continues to captivate its audience. The combination of strategy, betrayal, and emotional complexity made for compelling viewing. The apparent truce between Kim and Chaz was a lesson in appearances versus reality, illustrating how in Emmerdale, even the most cordial gestures can hide layers of intrigue. With the Dingle family once again asserting their influence, and the Tates poised to respond, the stage is set for more dramatic twists, emotional confrontations, and high-stakes plotting. Final line. In Emmerdale, no truce lasts forever, no plan is foolproof, and no glance exchanged over a glass of wine is ever truly innocent. Tonight proved that once again, and viewers can hardly wait for the next twist.